Hi, everyone. This is Rezoan. I've been working as a senior manager, data science at SoftBank Energy. At SoftBank Energy, we are a renewable energy platform to develop energy projects, then own energy projects, as well as maintain energy projects through their lifetime. And inside SB Energy in the data science world, we work with forecasting problems, we work with anomaly detection problems, we work with optimization as well as predictive maintenance. And we have been working with Abacus for the last 6 months, and it has been an amazing journey. We have deployed a couple of models and expanding our partnership with Abacus on multiple fronts.
Thank you, Rezoan. And Terry, you have been a customer for a long time. So yeah, if you can, again, introduce yourself for the panel and go over the problems that you're trying to solve with us, that would be great.
Yeah, we've been a customer thanks to you, Nandish. Thanks to everybody. So I am with Johnson Controls and run a team of data scientists globally that is anchored in our global services business, but we do take on projects across the enterprise. I think primarily our sort of what pays the bills for the team is we have a number of churn models or retention models in our global services business. I think we're up to 12 models that we have in production, predicting what customers are going to leave our global services businesses. We have 3 different domains in multiple regions. So we have that. We also have anomaly detection as well, finding aberrant parts sales purchases in the field, and I'll leave it at that. And then we're also we just started an optimization project with our finance department for our CFO, working on cash to order. So how can we reduce DSO, or the time to collect cash in the enterprise? And so we have a number of sort of proofs of concept that we've done as well, but those are our big 3 projects right now.
Makes sense. Thank you very much. So moving on to the next question, whenever you decide of AI projects, the first thing that comes to everybody's mind is, should I build it in-house or buy it from a vendor? Did you guys go through the same experience? And like, how did you make a decision of like building it in-house versus going with a vendor? Again, Rezoan, you can go first.
Yeah, so I mean, in these days, like developing a in-house solution probably is out of the window. It takes a lot of effort and resources and bandwidth, and especially businesses like us whose main focus is on the renewable energy side. We are not developing core ML solutions, right? So I would probably say the question probably would be to go with traditional providers like AWS or Azure compared to Abacus. So what I found, or like what initially we were doing is we were developing solutions in Azure, and recently moved to Abacus. We did the proof of concept with them. And what I found while choosing the partner, the most important things would be whether you can have a collaborative effort in developing the solution, how much time you're getting from the provider, whether, for example, like say, taking a model into production requires a lot of back and forth. And if you are interested to do it in AWS or Azure, you need a lot of steep learning curve. And throughout this process, if a provider can help me to basically navigate through the path and reach my objectives fairly easily, and basically save my bandwidth and time, so that I can focus on other tasks and delivering value for my internal customers. So in these aspects, Abacus has been kind of really helpful. onboarding us in their platform, developing the models and deploying the models have been fairly easy and straightforward, and looking forward to extend the partnership again.
Thank you, Rezoan. Terry, what about you?
Yeah, same as Rezoan. We just didn't have the bandwidth to do it. For us, it wasn't necessarily building an MLOps platform in-house. We were hard coding in Python. And I bet, the instant we switched to Abacus, it saved us 80% of the time we were spending. And it's not just, training the algorithm. There are so many features that improve efficiency in the platform, but we were able to use the time that we spent in Python on data wrangling and feature engineering and things outside of the platform to make the models better. So we couldn't have scaled the way we did, either with trying to build our own native platform or doing it in Python. We did evaluate also Databricks. My company has a global partnership with Microsoft, so that was sort of there for us to try. But again, there are features and functionalities in Abacus that are unique and continue to evolve. I mean, some of the things that I talk with the team about that they leverage today are pretty special.
Thank you, both of you. I think that's a good advertisement for us. Actually, we have seen this a lot. I think we see customers in three buckets. Like the first, like the beginning stage is when people try to build everything in-house. The second stage is trying to use the cloud vendors, and the third stage is using specialized platforms like Abacus. I think where cloud vendors, what we have typically seen where cloud vendors lack is they don't pay attention to detail. They're not completely focused on the ML platform, have a bunch of pieces that you have to stitch together. And we have seen this happening a lot with a lot of customers, and they're coming to Abacus, just like you mentioned. So moving on to the next question, a lot of people might be curious, how did you guys find out about Abacus? Was it that we reached out to you, you saw us somewhere? Just wanted to know your experience on that.
Yeah, I can first. Yeah, it's interesting. I was subscribed to Stanford's Digital Economy Labs seminar, and I think back in October last year, there was a presentation from Abacus there. And I basically tuned into that presentation and knew about Abacus. And at the time, in November, I think ChatGPT was released. So we were excited. We kind of reached out to Abacus in December, and then things moved on from there. We did a couple of proof of concepts and then signed an agreement in, I think, March, and then continued on the journey.
Makes sense. Terry?
Yeah, so I got a call, or I got one of the members of my team somehow got connected with Abacus and had an initial call, and then brought me in. We really liked the platform, and the ease of doing business with the team was a big deal. It was very, very easy. We gave them a data set that we used to train a model. They ran it through the platform. The precision increased tremendously. It was very easy, and they were very collaborative, and still are. We have a weekly session with one of their senior data scientists, and he's very helpful. So it's the barrier to entry was actually very low. It was very easy.
Awesome. Yeah, and how was the experience integrating Abacus with the rest of your infrastructure? How long did it actually take you to realize value, and what support did you receive throughout the whole process? I think, Terry, you mentioned Rezoan, how was your experience with integrating it with the infrastructure? Maybe Rezoan, you can go first and Terry next.
Yeah, we still have most of our data in Azure, and also we pull data through third-party APIs, and The integration is fairly straightforward. Like there are Azure connectors available, as well as we can basically use notebooks to pull the data, as well as use connectors. And then there are feature groups. We can pull the data or the inference outputs from the platform to our platform. So we didn't face like any difficulties pulling data as well as throwing data to Abacus. And even if there are issues, like there are people to basically sort it out. So that is the amazing thing.
And Terry, from your end, like how was the infrastructure? How is basically integrating Abacus with the rest of your infrastructure to realize value?
This has been the challenge for us, and it's not really anything to do with Abacus. We have a bunch of security protocols about anything coming into our network. So in a perfect world, we'd be able to both push and pull from our data store, from our Snowflake instance into Abacus, and then output our inferences into Snowflake. But we have to have an intermediate FTP site because our security team is not comfortable with that connection yet. There are alternatives. I mean, there are other things that we could do, but the security challenges from our group have been a bit of a something for us to consider. But infrastructure wise, it's there are no problems at all.
Awesome. Yeah, and so for the next question, like when we see this all the time, like we meet some code first data scientists once in a while who want to write all the code themselves and are hesitant in using any AI platform. I mean, we have seen these people who believe that writing the code gives them a lot of control. They know exactly what is happening. They can have the code for the exact model and things like that. Have you had any such resistance from your internal data science teams that they want to like go through the process and build the models themselves rather than like using a vendor like Abacus? Rezoan?
Yeah. So this question, if I think thoroughly on that, like it depends on the use case and the problem itself. So if you are working on a say very innovative cutting edge problem, for example, like developing ChatGPT 5, I maybe then off the shelf solutions are not available readily, right? So in those instances, like you probably need to grind through your problem so that you can do better. But if the use case is kind of like forecasting, or if the use case is churn detection, for which a lot of like off-the-shelf solutions or models are available, then the best approach is to basically use the off-the-shelf solution and then maybe try to improve on the data rather than focusing on the model itself. Try to improve the data set or the data quality so that the model basically takes care of the best available data. And in that particular case, like yeah, I mean, we are focusing more on how we can add more data, how we can basically figure out which data works better for our model, what can we use to improve the forecasting, rather than like trying to come up with the best possible model, because the accuracy difference in choosing the model is fairly limited compared to the data itself. So on that side, like again, I would say the data is the most important thing, and the other one is regarding off-the-shelf, say developing models internally versus in the platform. I would say there are Google Colab, Abacus has their notebooks. You have code spaces. So if developing models or running notebooks in those if you run notebooks in those platforms, the integration and accessibility of the code itself becomes very easy. and it's very easy to basically collaborate. So in those cases, like data scientists should be like very comfortable in using the platform rather than having a cold storage like a computer type solution. So yeah, I haven't seen anyone not embracing that, but yeah, I feel that is more intuitive, that you should use cloud solutions for the ease of your work.
Makes a lot of sense. Terry?
Yeah, I agree. I think all of AI at this point is sort of falls under the same explanation of it's an augment. It's not either or. There's the platform for us has been a fantastic augment to our work and allowed us to focus on feature engineering and business case, building business context, which is the most important part. The training of the algorithm is probably the last 10%, last 15%. And I mean, if someone really wants to do that in Python by hand, then by all means do it. But I think if your objective is to solve business problems and to scale, it's very sensible to leverage the capabilities of the platform and spend your time embedding with the business and figuring out how you can improve the features that you're feeding to it. So I think the discussion of is the platform going to steal work from data scientists is not necessarily sensible, because it's an augment. It very much enhances the work.
Totally agree with both of you. I mean, the way I look at this problem is you have data and you want to solve a problem. So there are two steps to it. One, framing the problem right. So a model can extract signal from the data or the data that you give it. I think that has been enough research that's done on the second part. There are a lot of models that you can just get out of the box. And companies like us are doing more and more research in this area. I think most data scientists will realize a lot more value if they focus on the first piece, which is like, how do I frame the problem right? How do I get more information to solve the problem? And we have seen this time and again with a lot of our customers, where the actual value is realized when we kind of tweak the problem or frame it differently than like try out new methods. Again, it goes well with one of our core principles, which is do not reinvent the wheel. Basically, like if something exists, there's no point like trying to build it again and again in-house. Yeah, totally on board with like what you guys said. I think moving on to the next piece, given that we have already discussed about ChatGPT and LLMs a couple of times, and we all know that like generative AI and LLMs is currently in trend and is a hot discussion topic. Would like to hear your perspective on how you are leveraging that in your business today, or have you planned to leverage it in your business? I mean, basically, how you plan to leverage generative AI or LLMs? Yeah, Rezoan.
Yeah, so yeah, I have been answering all the questions first. So yeah,
Maybe we can flip it from the next question on.
Yeah, I would love to hear Terry's perspective as well. Yeah, for this LLM and large language model related discussions, the way I see is in a business or in a industry, the way it can help is to improve the productivity of the business. And the way it can improve the productivity is through democratizing the information sharing within the team and through workflow automation. So I've been thinking about like how we can integrate ChatLM into our say work process. And then the first thing that comes to us is like when we see a fancy YouTube video, like you are doing this and that, you get the information very quickly. The more importance it can bring is if you can, for example, connect the ChatLM with your with your Microsoft Teams, so that like if the company has a information that company needs to share, then whether I can access it without asking to someone. If I have a database, whether I can basically pull the data directly from the database, writing chat prompts, rather than like, for example, other things that you can do with ChatGPT and ChatLM, which are more like learn-based concepts. So yeah, I mean, on the business scale, I would say, yeah, I mean, improving the business underlying workflow, automating it or improving the workflow process and sharing the information probably would be kind of the steps that I would look in our use case where ChatLM can significantly help.
Cool. Terry, what about you?
You know, I bet I've had 5 or 6 different instances where someone's come to me for us to evaluate, you know, what do we do with ChatGPT? And I handle it the same way that I handle every other application. It's just another extension of applied math, applied science. Like, what problem are you trying to solve? And what outcome do you want? And what problem needs to be solved to deliver that outcome? And if ChatGPT is the tool to do that, then it can be done. I think generally, there are a class of applications in an enterprise that some flavor of these applications would be really well served, depending on the specific problem, by ChatGPT. And they're augments, they're assistants of some sort. And it's, you know, as an example, in the Abacus platform, I know my team heavily uses the, you know, the functionality to develop script with prompts or proofread script with prompts or error codes or review, you know, errors and find bugs in code. And I think those types of applications, any sort of augment or assistant application, or Rezoan mentioned a couple that I really like as well, but it all, for me, it has come down to does the technology solve a specific problem that's leading to a particular outcome? And I think that's, I treat it just like every other application at this point.
Makes a ton of sense. Like, as Bindu mentioned in the previous presentation, we are trying to use AI everywhere in the platform. Like, one, to make it easy for data scientists to build products, like Terry, like what you mentioned, and also Rezoan, like we have standalone use cases like the ones that you mentioned, specifically chatting with your own data, like pulling data from your tables without like having to write code, which we call data LLM. I mean, I think these are the two main like heavily adopted use cases by a lot of our customers.
One question, question for you.
Like,
what use cases you see as a platform owner for ChatLM for the enterprises?
Yeah, so I think it's more about like agents kind of stuff, like where like we combine code, a large language model, vector store, and a bunch of and like orchestrating that really well so you can execute tasks without human involvement. So one great example that I've seen, again, this is like an internal use case, is AI chat that Bindu mentioned. So like literally you can chat with the platform, you can ask it questions like, oh, which, I mean, if you have a data about customer churn, you can ask like, oh, show me all customers who kind of like are spending only like spending less than like $1,000 this month. You could ask it to say like, oh, why don't you plot a chart between like customer spending greater than $1,000 and the market cap of the company. You could do like all these very interesting things, which would have earlier required a lot of time for data scientists to create on the platform. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's my take. So basically, it's going to be more actions, chatting with your data. Yeah, so these are the main things that I see going forward. Cool. So maybe this time I'll flip the question first to Terry. Like, Terry, you have been a customer with us for a long time. Like, what's your favorite feature about the platform?
There are many. I think from an efficiency standpoint, the native ability to train multiple algorithms at the same time. We haven't seen a lot of variability in the precision of those. XGBoost tends to be the one that for our app, most of our models that puts out the best results, so the highest precision. But I think I separate like what has been an efficiency savings for our team and then what has had the biggest business impact. And the feature importance that we get per the model overall, but then for each individual inference has been invaluable in terms of when we put an inference into the business of potentially an at-risk contract. Here are the top 5 reasons why. And it's not that you can't do that off the platform, but that's native to the platform. Is it's both an efficiency, a productivity gain for us, but it also has really helped us provide value with the business in terms of how to uptake the output that we're giving them, and that's been a big bonus. I'll just say this: if what we've found with the platform is that things that are barely past research papers, like the latest technology that is available in the field, is in the platform, and if it's not, you're working with us to put it in there, and that has been over the almost 2 years that we've been using it, has been a huge benefit for us and something we appreciate.
Thank you. Rezoan?
Yeah, so the main couple of benefits that I see is the first one, like I would say we were looking for an optimization solution, and the premium optimization partner or like a provider is a Groby optimization. So for our use cases, like having a license from Groby or a optimization partner can be very expensive. We were trying to build from slow, and the optimization use case is not available in Azure and AWS to the best of my knowledge. So having Abacus basically helps us to develop our optimization workflow. The second thing that I saw is the code generator. Like we have a Copilot subscription, but slowly we are moving into Abacus code generator. So probably in near future, we can even cancel the GitHub Copilot subscription. And the third thing, I would say is like the new chat AI interface that Abacus is launching. I would love to have that as a connector in our Microsoft Teams or Slack platform, so that like we can pull data directly from Abacus through our native chat platform.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think integration with Slack and Teams is like one of the heavily asked features, and we are on top of it. We should have it soon. Cool. So now the other side of the coin, Terry, like, are there any features that you wish to see in the Abacus platform in the near future?
I think you're probably there or working on it, but the last 15%, the training of algorithms, obviously that's the core of the platform. But the bulk of our any data science project is in feature engineering and data wrangling, and I think that the more the more of an augment that can be native to the platform from that perspective, in terms of making the connection between the performance of the algorithm and what's there. Is it that the data is out of distribution? And I know those features are there in the platform, but anything to help with the feature engineering and sort of the bulk of the preliminary work that consumes so much time, sort of that connection to data ingest into the platform, I think would be a big help.
Yeah, we actually believe the AI chat and like AI building AI will kind of solve that problem. So that's like cutting edge research that we are kind of there, but yeah, I totally get like where you're coming from. Like it takes a lot of time to kind of do the data wrangling phase. I mean, model training is like really quick. And we are like trying to use AI as much as possible to kind of automate that. So hopefully, we already made some progress, and we'll see a lot more in that area. Rezoan, sorry,
Yeah.
you have something.
No, I was just going to say, if making the connection between especially a standard application like a forecasting application or a churn application, if there's a way to evaluate what features are there, and then suggest, where to go to, if you're not explaining very much of the variance of the data set with what you have, some sort of native application that suggests what to look for or what additional features might improve the performance. And I know that's hard. It's hard to do, but anything I feel like that's the next frontier. Like, what do you have that equates to this level of performance? What else could you look for to improve the performance of the model?
Makes a lot of sense. Rezoan?
Yeah. So, one thing that I, on top of like the, Microsoft Teams connected thing, one thing I found that would be really helpful for our use cases if we can have decision interpretability. So we use forecasting, and we are using optimization use case, but the interpretability feature is, I think, missing. So for example, if you are generating a inference or forecasting, or if you are bidding or offering through the optimization, how basically the inference was generated, quickly figuring out like if there is a spike in the forecast, or basically if there is a flat line in the forecast, like how we can basically connect with the raw data to interpret what underlying regressor was basically the driver of the spike, for example. So that interpretation would be extremely helpful. And on the use case side, I would say, especially like for the energy and renewable energy business, if you have GIS-based use cases where, developers, for example, like solar energy developers can basically use the GIS platform to come up with, predictive models, can be extremely helpful.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, definitely noted. I think on the former one, I'm not sure like if we have showed you this, like, but the explainability for forecasting models should solve some of the things that you mentioned. Maybe we can like take a look at offline.
Sure.
So it's, yeah, but the later definitely noted. I think makes sense for some of the use cases. Cool. So I think we're moving to the frag end of the panel. So what suggestions do you have for other executives looking to start leveraging AI in their organizations? How do they go about the process of thinking of picking the vendors versus building it? Generally any advice that you have for others who are looking looking to start leveraging AI in their orgs. Terry?
Yeah, I think not to belabor the point, but I think it's crucial not to want to do it just to do it. I think it's crucial to have clearly defined outcomes, like quantifiable outcomes, and then very clearly defined 2 or 3 problems. I mean, the more you get, the more complex it is to solve them, but really clearly defined 2 or 3 problems that would deliver that quantifiable outcome. And I think then if you do that over and over, sometimes it's AI, sometimes it's just basic statistics, sometimes it's maybe a dashboard. It's just solving problems. And I think that's what has been crucial for us, is just to look at or evaluate tools that help us solve problems efficiently. And the platform obviously has done that for us. We've been able to scale applications that we wouldn't be able to hire enough people to scale. And so I think for us, it's been really, really important to be focused very clearly on measurable outcomes and then problems to be solved to deliver those outcomes, and then attaching the technical solution to that.
Yeah, totally agree with Terry. Finding the right problems and solving them on a greedy manner is the right approach here, because at the end of the day, you have to support the business, and basically the most ROI is the most important problem. And on top of that, I would like to add, maybe while developing the solutions or solving the problems, having a crawl, walk, run type of strategy can be helpful. Not only directly jumping into the run or going to the best possible AI solution, rather than in most cases having a crawl or run type easy solution can maybe solve 60-70% of the problem in a very quick time period. So after that, for example, in each of the iterations or each of the milestones are achieved, having the mentality to basically have a retrospective to see whether we need to go to the next step or not can be an efficient approach.
Thank you. That's very useful. Thank you, Terry and Rezoan. It was wonderful chatting with you. I think we are on time, so I will hand over the mic to Bindu for the next panel. Thank you.
Thanks.